never weaponize your success.
Sure.
So you don't use the success that you have as an individual, as a business, to hurt other people.
Hello, Wisdom and Wellness family. Welcome to another episode of Wisdom and Wellness. Thank you for joining us. Today's guest, we have been chatting away. I already have solved all the problems to my business. So I already know that this conversation is going to be beneficial to so many. And today we are sitting with a fave of mine. I've been trying to get her, but I believe timing is everything. We have Liz Letsoalo, founder of Masodi Organics. Welcome, Liz.
Hi!
I'm so glad you finally came. I mean, we spoke last year around
October. Yeah, September, October, yeah.
Yeah, and before that, before we even met, we started speaking during mid-COVID.
When you were peak Anino.
When I was peak, when I was peak Anino, and I was getting into the body butters, and you were my go-to girl, and we hadn't even met. Yeah, your heart is pure, girl.
Oh.
Your heart is pure. I've got some icebreaker questions for you. Okay, number one. Would you rather always speak your mind or never speak again?
Sure. I always speak my mind.
Always speak. But do you know what it means, though, to always speak your mind?
You get cancelled.
Yeah. So you'd rather always speak your mind?
I cannot imagine just keeping quiet forever.
Okay. Speak your mind. Yeah. Second question. Favorite beauty hack? And it can't be a hair one.
Body scrubs, guys.
Okay, tell me why.
Because so many of us have all of this build up and whatever, just rejuvenating your guys. And even if it's not body scrub, just exfoliating is my favorite beauty hack.
How often should we exfoliate?
Once a week is enough.
Really?
Yeah, don't over exfoliate.
Okay.
I think here's the thing: I'm a beauty and wellness founder, but I'm also not too hectic.
Yeah, on everything
and I don't want to sell a lie to someone. Listen, once a week is enough. You'll be good.
Okay. So here's a beauty hack, guys. Get your exfoliation.
Vaslap,
ne? But also, wait, is there a difference between using a scrub and actually just using a loofah?
There is, because there's different textures, right? There's a different texture you get from using your plain hands. There's a texture you get from a loofah because it's soft.
Yeah.
And then there's that orange. Orange sack.
You use the orange sack, the original, the McCoy.
It's good. Just don't be too rough with it. But also for your feet, also it's really good. So it depends on the body parts. It depends on how sort of hardened your build-up is and whatever it is. But and then you have your body scrubs, the product stuff.
Yeah.
So just choose one. Make sure you use it well. Don't overdo it.
I feel like you still use Elite. You know Elite?
Yeah, for the feet. It's
Do you
so
have
good.
One?
I have the ones that you buy
the fancy.
now.
No, those don't work. You need the original. Okay, our last question. Would you rather go into the past and meet your ancestors, or the future and meet your great-grandchildren?
Ooh. I think I'm going to be selfish with this one and say go into the past.
Okay.
I'm so curious about how all of this came to be and how all of this came to be. And I think a lot of that has to do with the past.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. What questions would you ask?
I would want to know about people's experiences.
Okay.
How did you grow up? How was it? What did you eat?
Yeah.
What consumed you? What did you think about a lot of the times? What mattered to you? Mm-hmm. What kind of conflicts did you have? What made you joyful?
Yeah.
I just want to know about people's day-to-day simple life experiences.
Yeah, I actually believe in that. I love finding out about people's different experiences. I feel like it shapes a person, and it gives so much. It allows you to have empathy as a person, and it allows you to just go into another person's world and understand them. But as we get into our conversation, I was reading a book, and I was just writing down my intentions, right? And I thought about it. What is my intention for my podcast? After every episode, after every conversation, what am I hoping to put out there? What am I hoping to achieve? And my answer was, I want to awaken something in someone else, be it a dream, be it a health journey, be it starting that business. And so with every guest, I'm selective, knowing that there's something that they've awakened in me. So when I first heard you speak, I heard your story and I was just like, this girl, I need to get her on my chair. So let's get right into it. How did you get to Masodi Organics?
Sure. I think, I can never talk about the story of Masodi Organics without talking about the story of Good Hair. I don't know if you know Good Hair.
Yes.
Good Hair. Oh, yes. Good Hair was a mobile salon that I started with two of my best friends, Ija Ogwang, who's now a best-selling author. I'm so proud of her. And Sandise Wayengeni, who's now doing a PhD in some development finance stuff that I don't understand. But I'm just like, yeah, go.
Go, you go.
But we started this out of that business out of frustration, right?
Yeah.
From just being black women, you sort of like have to sneak out of the office just to get your hair braided, and you have to lie about being sick or whatever the case may be. And from that, I think that's when my shell for starting a business was cracked. After that moment, or after that initiative, I was never scared of doing something new. I was never scared of producing a piece of work and putting it out there and have it accepted or rejected. And that's simply how Masodi Organics started. And when that business didn't work out, I was sort of like in the beauty space at the time, and I thought, it might be interesting to create what I felt at the time was sort of like an ecosystem that could enable beauty and wellness at a different level. And that would have been sort of like a combination of product, a combination of service, a combination of a few other things I can't mention yet because we're still
working
cooking.
on it.
Right. And the product one was the easiest to start, especially coming out of a service business and seeing how incredibly hard that was.
Services are hard.
It was so hard. So I thought, products you can control. I can say, I'm going to make 100 body butters, put them out there, put them on the online store, and sort of like just keep selling and keep selling. So it was an easier place for me to start. And once I started, I said, I started it the same way one starts a cup of tea. I was just sitting and I thought, that's it, I'm going for it.
Let's do this.
Right. And I did it. How I did it was I started an Instagram page and I announced to people, I'm going to be doing this thing, so please follow this page.
So there's no product yet, there's nothing yet, there's just, by the way, this is what I'm doing, and you're hoping it's going to work out.
There was an Instagram page and a Facebook page and a Twitter page before
and no
anything.
Product.
And after that, I went to the CIPC website. I registered the business. And then after that, I sort of like just jumped into research, YouTube videos, a lot of formal written papers, a lot of just Googling and finding whatever piece of documentation you could find. And at the time, because I wasn't a formulator, this is why I decided to go the organic route. This is where the name Masodi Organics comes from. It was initially Masodi Organic. And I realized down the line, I actually did not want to make organic products, but the organic was the easiest one at the time. Because all I had to do was to mix pure oils and pure butters and sort of like just whip them up. Sort of didn't have to preserve, and you could get away with that. But that was incredibly limiting. But in essence, that's how Masodi Organic started. And a couple of months down the line, product was out there, looked shady as hell.
There's a quote that says, if your first product is not shady and bad, you started too late. So shady is good. As a first product, shady is good. I believe in holistic wellness. I think that's what the whole what wisdom and wellness is really about. How do you, as an entrepreneur, or just even as a human being, make sure that you are well so that you can show up for everyone? And you could we have our 5 pillars as a guideline. How do you stay well emotionally? How do you stay well financially, physically, relationally with the people around you? How do you stay well? What are some of the practices that you keep?
My personal life has not changed ever since, starting Masodi Organics. My best friends remain my best friends. My relationship with my partner has been the same since I started to
How have you managed, since you're there actually, how have you managed to navigate relationships and friendships? And you mentioned how you and your friends, you all started at Unilever doing something different, and now the one's a bestseller, and now you run a business, and the other one's doing a PhD, and dynamics have shifted. So how have you guys managed to stay friends with all the changes that have happened?
they are the most gracious people I know.
Yeah.
And I think when you have friends who also are fulfilled in their own lives, there's very little to debate or to negotiate.
Sure.
For example, something had happened a couple of weeks back, and my friends are not on social media. And
really?
They might be on social, but they don't get involved.
That's not what they're doing.
It's not what they. Sometimes things could happen and it take them months.
Okay.
And that is what also then keeps you protected, right? Because it's like social media is not a huge part of my life, quite frankly. When I go home, my partner is not a big social media person. When I'm in the villages with my sisters and my mom and my dad and my brother,
you're connected. You're connected.
I am truly so. Outside of Masodi Organics or whatever you see with Masodi Organics, my life is pretty much the same. I go and I nap on my best friend's couch, and we look at the ceiling and the trees, and we talk about our dreams like we were still back at Unilever. They come to my house and we do silly things, and it's just so beautiful. I have not felt like I've had to negotiate anything with them, if anything. From time to time we'll get in a car and drive and go away. And wherever we are, it just feels like the same old kids from 8 years ago. And it's just the most beautiful thing. I think that's one of the things I'm grateful for. And I think once you've experienced friendship at that level, I have no hunger for more.
Sure.
I'm open to new friendships.
Yeah. But you're content.
But there's no active hunger. I'm like, I've got my people.
Yeah.
I've got my people.
Yeah. I love what you said, that when you're with people who are fulfilled, like you don't have to explain. Like it just works.
They know. I mean, you're a best-selling author. Yeah. Why are you worried about me not liking your tweet?
Right?
You're
best-selling. Like,
but also you are delighted for me.
Yeah.
As I am for you.
Yeah.
Like now, last week I did a little gift thing. The two best friends, it's a trio of us.
Yeah.
We went to Siwa's house because she's starting her PhD journey. We just went there and, they had a little swimming lesson. I was there taking videos and pictures of them, just cheering them on.
You're just like, love it for them.
I'm like, good for you. But it's like, we are all delighted for each other's success, and we're all just so happy to be part of. And you know what's tricky? Sometimes one is doing well and one is going through it.
Yeah.
Right. But you don't ever feel the tension of...
How do you navigate that when one is thriving and the other one is like you said, going through
the thriving one gets to be there for their struggling friend.
Yeah.
The friend in me kicks in.
Yeah.
I have to be there for you. The friend in them kicks in. I might be thriving and I'm doing well and I know Liz is happy for me.
Yeah.
But I also need to be there for her when she's not doing well. And I think in my not feeling at my best, it doesn't take away from the fact that I can still celebrate you. It's just it just feels intuitive to me. And sometimes maybe, I'm not there as you would have hoped. The beauty of these kinds of friendships for me is that they have sacred trust. If I miss a beat, my friend trusts that it's not in bad faith. They're like, I know Liz wouldn't do that maliciously to hurt me. But sometimes it's like, my friend, I didn't see you at this place. What's going on? And then we have a conversation. I think sacred trust is so important because wherever people are coming from or whatever people are doing, you always know that they mean well.
Dando, and I think I keep mentioning this because it sat with me so much when she was here and we're talking about friendship, and she said, well, you have to trust the reputation of your friends. And I don't even think just friends, just people around you, from family to partners, whoever you're surrounded with, you have to trust that, because you're gonna miss a beat. We are gonna miss a beat. We're not gonna get it right. But there has to be that sacred trust you talk about, that, you know what, more times than not, this person has showed up. And I think we have to live in that space of appreciation.
Yeah, because tomorrow you could miss a beat yourself.
And you need that grace.
The sense of self-righteousness sometimes that I find shocking, and as humans, where it's like, sure,
it can never be me.
Do you not feel nervous that one day you just might make an error? Does it not make you nervous? No, if me, it's like, and I'm not saying error like, oh, you're gonna kill someone, but it's like something like, oh, I'm sorry, you were going through a thing and I didn't check in as quickly as you were hoping to. It's possible that someone could also have been going through a similar thing, or sometimes, quite frankly, there's no reason. I just didn't think I needed to act that way at the time. And Oprah talks about this a lot. She says the best way to actually be disappointed is to, say, if that was me, is to think about a situation and say, how would I have reacted to that?
Sure.
You're not that person. People will react differently to different situations. And sometimes how you would react to things is not how your friends would react to things. And that's where conversations need to happen.
Yeah. And a grace for people more than anything. Grace for people. And financially, how are you handling your finances? Not only as a business person, but as a woman in South Africa, it's the beginning of a year. I know a lot of people have financial goals. How do you make sure that you are financially healthy? Like, what are some of your financial habits?
Yeah. The first thing, honestly, is I don't think it's a habit necessarily. I think it's just part of my personality.
Yeah.
I don't envy things that easily. Especially, I don't know, there's something about just not, I think it might actually lead back to my dad. If we didn't have something, and my mom, if you can't get something, it's like they explain to you why you can't get something from as young as like however young I was, and you just understand, there is no money. And we used to call my mom Budget. She used to have a budget paper on the side of her drawer.
Yeah.
And whenever you came in, she would pull out the budget and say, go call go call everyone. Because I'm tired of you guys. And she would show, and by the time she's finished, you're like, sure, I don't know how this woman does it. I've known my mother's salary ever since I was a child. To this day, she's still very open. She'll tell you, I earn XXX and this is how I make use of it. And from that, I think, came my sense of just contentment. When I can't afford something, I will look away. So I don't do a lot of, buying a lot of things that I can't afford. And of course, there's things that matter to me that I still want to indulge. I want to do a spa from time to time just to refresh my body. There's things that I now am clear matter. I don't and I don't get strayed by, there's a new trend or there's this thing that seems to be cool. So there are things that I know matter. I will spend on those. The stuff that doesn't matter, it's okay. And I think that also comes with just being sort of like someone who runs a business. Because you then start to see the decisions you're making in your business, because you're that meticulous about finances in your business, then it sort of like seeps into your own life. Some of the things I've done this year, or the goals that I have, is make sure that you're clear. I want to pay off my car. It's a small car. So I've only had 2 cars in my entire life. The first one was when I was in varsity. And when I started my job, I remember someone in the family was asking, are you going to upgrade your car? And it was paid off at the time. And I said, no.
Why?
I'm like, why? I have a car and I love it. I called it Moses. It's going to take me places.
Moses?
We're gonna part the sea with it. We're going to go to Europe.
Things.
Exactly. And that car had to blow the engine before I could actually get another Moses II.
So your other car's called Moses II?
It's Moses II. And Moses II has been around for years now. And we're almost done paying Moses off. What do I have to worry about? Right? For me, it's just living within your means. And sometimes you understand, when people are like, your business is doing well, they expect to see something when you rock up. And I'm like, I don't live for that.
But where do you draw the line between I'm content, I'm happy, and maybe I'm being a little stingy and I'm not reaching for more, or I'm not celebrating myself. Like, where do you draw that line?
I don't, to be honest. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't, and this is why I struggle, because sometimes there's still a bit of an unhealthy habit of glorifying the suffering, where you feel like I'm suffering for a purpose. Look at me, I'm suffering more than you, right? There's still a bit of that we need to deal with, and I know that I have to work on that. But sometimes it's also not necessarily contentment. Sometimes we give it the contentment label, but it's actually concession.
Okay.
Sometimes you consider, like, listen, I would love to have a Bentley, but I cannot afford it. Therefore, let me just convince myself.
Let me just enjoy it.
Let me just concede and say, Moses, let's go, my friend. And of course, when you're honest about that, you say, the time will come. I'm happy with my Moses right now, but the time will come for something bigger. And at other times, truly, 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 it is contentment.
You strike me as someone who's very authentic and true to self. How did you find your own authentic voice? Like the confidence to just like, this is my path, this is my story, and I wear it with joy.
I have to credit my parents, and we talk about this with my sisters a lot. They said, whenever I was they would get beaten up by my parents as a form of discipline, and I was the child who never got beaten up.
The golden child.
They call me Flower Girl. So I was the child who never got beaten up. And they say when I was apparently being naughty, my mother would say, no, she's exploring. That was my journey. So I remember, having the platform to speak my mind from a very young age to my mom, to my dad. My dad, of course, you would tread carefully, but I've always had the room, the space to speak my mind and feel like my parents delighted in that.
Sure.
I could see them delight in just me sort of like playing and me having, it did not feel like a burden to other people. In fact, it started feeling like a burden when I became older. Yeah, when you go into the world and it's
why?
I'm still trying to figure it out, but I also think sometimes authenticity doesn't always thrive when there's no sacred trust again.
Yes.
Authenticity requires sacred trust and safety in order for it to thrive. Otherwise, it can be perceived as other things. Arrogance. Some people have said, come across as a bit arrogance, or, sometimes like, who do you think you are?
But I've actually found that authenticity is more contagious than comes off as anything else. I think that when it comes off as something else, authenticity is not loud. It's not arrogance is loud. Authenticity is, I'm just me. I don't have to explain myself. I don't have to explain why I'm this. And this is just who I am, and I'm versus arrogance, where you explain, oh no, I'm a confident person,
right?
Blah blah blah. And so whenever we are with other authentic people, I think then it thrives. It's contagious.
Yeah.
It's only when we're in spaces of insecurity, where we feel now we have to now protect ourselves, or hide ourselves.
Right. And you will have a lot of that. This is one of the things I've learned. You will have, a lot of spaces where you might feel like, am I too much? You might find yourself being in a lot of spaces where you ask, am I giving other people enough room to sort of like also, and I do that a lot, by the way, which I'm starting to learn is not a good thing.
Yeah.
It's not my responsibility to think about everyone else, because you end up losing yourself in the process. My responsibility is showing up as authentically as I can, and also just rooting for other people and hoping that they can be the best they can. And, the reason why I'm so for safe spaces and sacred spaces and tight-knitted spaces now is that only people who truly know you can give you that grace, right? When they see that, they will say, no, that's Liz, just leave Liz, and when they see you actually, again, go offbeat or go, against the character of yours, they know you to be, they will call you out and say, Liz, this is out of character, what's going on? Yeah. And I think, sometimes when you are surrounded by people who truly don't know you, or where there's no sacred trust, you miss out on a lot of honest feedback from people who truly know you to say, sis, this is not how we know you to be. But also you miss out on the joy of truly being yourself without any penalties.
Yeah. The director, the creator of Abbott Elementary, I forgot her name, but she was having a conversation with Oprah, and she was actually speaking about that. Did you hear it? She was speaking of,
her name is right here, but it's fine.
Yeah, and she was just speaking about being in, like, you don't ever, and especially as women, you don't ever want to be in a space where you need to downplay yourself. And she spoke about it from in choosing partners, where she had chosen a partner and he was on the come up and she was on the come up, and then they went somewhere. And then he got upset that people were recognizing her and celebrating her. And she asked herself, imagine if I had stayed with that person, I wouldn't have gotten to a point where I leave my job and I eventually focus on creating this series, or this what do they call it, sitcom of mine, and so that speaks to the power of who we surround ourselves with. And I like that you touch a lot about being in safe spaces, because only then do you unleash, man. You get to be free in letting those dreams come alive, versus being in spaces where you need to downplay yourself.
Where a lot of dreams die from fear. And when we don't feel safe, we get into a space of fear. And when you're in a space of fear, you cannot be creative. You're always defensive. You're always trying to prove a point. You're always trying to appease the masses. You're always trying to get buy-in from other people to say, do you approve of me?
Yeah.
Do you like this? Do you see this? Am I on the right track? Do you is what I'm doing resonating with you? And of course, there's a part of that exists in all of us. I'm not saying, we're not looking for validation of some sort. But I think when you live a fearful life, you're always going to be looking around for people who are going to carry you forward. And let me tell you, some of the greatest things in the world, you will have to do in solitude. Or you will have to do, in a very tight-knitted space of people who truly, truly know you, who are truly vouching for you beyond the external success or failures that is being seen. And I think also the importance of that is, failure is a thing. Yeah. It's a reality.
Yeah. It's going to happen.
It is going to happen. Yeah. When you put your work out there, when you put yourself out there, it is possible that you just might fail.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure that you're surrounded by people who will actually take that and hold it really delicately and not dangle it in your face and laugh at you or, use it to penalize you.
Sure. That's so good. How do you deal with fear?
I go inward.
Okay, what does that look like?
Going inward looks like playing music that really hits me there in the core. Going inward looks like just digging into Survivor. Yeah. I can watch season after season because I think it's such a beautiful microcosm of life. You get to see what people do when they're desperate. You get to see what people do when they're joyful. You see what people do when they feel powerful, when they feel weak, when they're scared. It's just beautiful. And I watch it without any judgment. I will, speak to my parents. I will be surrounded by my loved ones. I will watch Oprah Winfrey, Maya Angelou, Muhammad Ali. I will watch every single person who inspires me because I think they inspire me for a reason. I look for things or voices or experiences that validate why I believe I'm here, why I believe I'm worthy, and why I believe what I have to offer matters. That's what going inward looks like. And, switch off your social media and live.
Yeah.
You have no idea how beautiful
it's nice out there, y'all.
Lives are outside of social media. Absolutely. I just want a simple life. And nothing makes you realize how simple a life you want than having a peak on the other side and saying, oh, no, thank you very much.
I'm good. How do you define spirituality?
I think spirituality is my constant awareness of what God is, or of who God is.
Constant awareness.
Yeah, constant awareness of God.
Yeah.
It's ongoing. That's what spirituality is for me. I find it in trees. I find it when I look around. I love animals. When I look at when I watch Animal Planet, and I see elephants, and I see lions, and I just see the ecosystem and all of that stuff, and I see God. I see it when I see the ocean.
Yeah.
When I see kids play, even in death, actually, I still see God and spirituality at play.
Yeah. When I find myself in a place of, they call it writer's block, but I guess for me, creative block, or I guess confusion, and needing to go inward, I always go out in nature. Yeah. And I look at the design of the trees, and I look at how every tree, like in a tree, the leaves or the branches might look so similar, but when you pay attention, you realize that God's fingerprint is on it. Yeah.
It's not an accident.
It's not an accident. And then I see myself and I realize if God paid so much attention and detail in a tree, in a rose, can I imagine the detail that's gone into me, into my life, into my purpose? Why would I run out of? And that's how I've managed to shift from a space of lack to operating in abundance, because God is abundant. There's no shortage here. There's no fighting of who gets to thrive here. There's room in this space for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
And, there's also grace in God.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you just think there's so much going on, you just go and you find that one thing that grounds you, that makes you feel more connected to God. And you're like, there's this just calming of the storm thing he's able to do that makes you go, sheesh, this is quite a thing.
Yeah, quite a thing. I think that's why I always ask people, okay, do you choose the ocean or the bush? It's not so much about the exciting outfits or aesthetic of it. It's because when you get out there and you look at the ocean knows where to stop. No one's telling the ocean, hey, this is where you stop. How can you imagine, how do those huge waves know that this is my borderline?
Right.
You go into the wild and you see the whole ecosystem working together. Nobody's telling it how it should work. It's just a creation of God. And I think as just people, and even, I mean, I'm still on the New Year place, as we're getting frustrated and trying to come up with the goals, I think it's just a good space to position ourselves, that if God knows how to tell the ocean this is where you stop, and how the ecosystem works, then how much more with the detail of our lives.
Have you seen the ocean at night from a cruise?
Yeah.
And how scary that thing looks.
Yeah.
And there's something about seeing something that has power.
Yeah.
That is just so calm, and it feels like God.
Yeah.
You look at it and you're like, you can actually, like, there was a time when I was on a cruise and I got a bit of a, what are you doing, Liz? Because you look outside and it's dark, and this body just looks heavy and sitting on whatever it's sitting on.
Yeah.
And it looks like it has the capacity to completely just swallow us. But it doesn't.
It doesn't, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's grace.
What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? Laughter.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite things to do in the world. I don't do it as much as I should, but it makes me so joyful. Winning makes me happy. I'm not gonna lie.
Winning is nice.
Right. It's like,
let's win, guys.
So even when I get an order and I do a little dance, it still happens today when I get just one order and I do a little dance, and then my boyfriend will ask, "Did someone order?"
Just like,
you're too happy.
Yeah.
That makes me happy. Spending time with loved ones makes me happy. Comedy makes me happy.
Yeah.
And what? Good food.
Good food.
Good food makes me happy.
Okay. Yeah. All right, I'm going to go into my wall of wisdom now. It's my last few questions, because Bonolo's just standing there. My last few questions. Number one, wall of wisdom, one podcast or book that has... No, actually 3 podcasts. Are you a reader? An avid reader? Okay, 3 podcasts or 3 books that have changed your life, or you can mix it up.
I can mix them. Maya Angelou's letter to my daughters.
Letter to my daughters?
It changed my life. There's a podcast, Brene Brown, man.
Yeah.
She is just beautiful. I will say Never Turn Back is one of the books that changed my life. I forgot the author's name. But can I just talk about Maya Angelou, why that book changed my life for a little? I was I just graduated.
Yeah.
And I had missed my flight at the airport from Johannesburg to Durban. And I was just finishing reading this book. And at the end of the book was a little essay she wrote that says a commencement address, which was addressed to graduates. This is me coming from my graduation. And this has become sort of like one of my life statements. And one of the things she said was, look beyond your tasseled caps and you will see injustice.
Sure.
At the end of your fingertips, you will see cruelty, bedrock sorrow, bigotry, and terrifying loneliness. There is your work.
Ma'am.
I cried at the airport because it was the time where even when I was new in my job, I'd never stopped questioning my purpose. Am I in the right place? And
am I doing enough?
And
am
I
doing
knew
enough?
at the time that this cannot be it. And I just felt like it was God in that moment saying, look beyond your tasseled cap.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So that's why it was so meaningful to me.
Sure. That's so powerful.
Thank you so much for watching today's episode. I hope it was impactful and that you enjoyed it. To check out the full episode, all you have to do is become a Wisdom and Wellness member by clicking the join button. If not, you're more than welcome to catch the full audio version on any of your podcast platforms. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being a Wisdom and Wellness member.